All right, welcome back to A Word with Yourself.
She sounded sarcastic. I think she's genuine.
Yeah. Oh, welcome
Welcome
back.
back.
Us again.
Here with more BS to talk
Yeah.
about. We were just
Important
talking about
workplace.
important workplace tools, and I'm going to name the first one your favorite drink.
Diet Coke.
Mine is Diet Coke or tea. It
Yes, yes.
depends on the time of day and
Mm,
also, how quickly I need that, pick me up.
the
But
hit.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is a
What?
Coke Zero. Okay, don't get mad. But there is a Diet Coke shortage in Toronto right now. It's
What?
Yeah, I went into Loblaws, not a Diet Coke to be seen on the shelves. Went downstairs to the shoppers, not a Diet Coke to be seen. Now there's bottles, but they don't count.
They don't
Like,
count.
no. But yeah, I went into a couple of shoppers, no Diet Cokes. And
That's crazy.
so it just shows you, it's taken off.
Well, not to make you jealous, but I've got a whole slab of Diet Coke downstairs, bought in last week, filled up the fridge.
Good for you. You know what? I did an Instacart order as well to see if I could
Could you
get
get
one of
it?
those fabs.
Yeah.
And the shopper was like, "Oh, they don't have any. You want something else?" I was like,
Oh
literally,
my
the only
God.
reason I did this order was to get the Diet
Let's get
Coke.
the Diet Coke.
And I ordered little bits and pieces as well. And I ended up
Mm,
getting like, I don't know, like a couple of bananas and a packet of crisps and
and no
nothing else.
Diet Coke.
No Diet Coke. So yeah.
Someone described it, and if this was you, I apologize. Someone described it, Diet Coke, as like a fridge cigarette,
I
as
have
in like,
seen that many times, and people have sent that to me as a former cigarette lover.
yeah. And honestly, I think I agree. As someone who's never smoked,
Yeah,
I
can
actually,
imagine that's
yeah,
what it's
yeah. It
like.
feels like the same. People like, oh, I need like, I need a smoke. Like, I need to. I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
like take a break in the name. Like, oh, I need to have a Diet Coke. Like the
Yeah.
notion, like the Diet Coke break ads that
Mm,
used to be on. Like, I don't think I was influenced by them to have a Diet Coke break, but I definitely take a break and be like, oh, I just
mm,
want, yeah.
mhm,
I don't know. There's
mhm,
something, and I don't like regular Coke, and I don't like Pepsi, and I don't like Pepsi Max. I
mm-mm.
don't like the taste of them.
Yeah, me
So I'll
neither.
either drink Diet Coke, and if there's no Diet Coke, I normally have water.
Mhm.
It's
I
not
know there's something
it's not
about Diet
like
Coke.
there's something about it. Fridge cigarette.
There, oh
Uh,
God, yeah,
I
Diet Coke
know.
and a cigarette, best combo ever.
No. There was
Back
also
back in the day.
there was also a time in my life where like a can of Diet Coke was my entire hangover cure and it would work.
Mm, mhm,
Those
mhm.
days are those days are over. There's nothing that
When
that
times were
that could not.
simple.
It's the hangovers are rare these days because they're worse and so therefore I can't be bothered with them.
Mhm.
But a can of Diet Coke would barely touch a hangover these days.
Oh God, no.
I
You
need
wouldn't want
more
to
than
waste
that.
it
I
on
need
that.
I'd need like food and I'd need sleep and I'd need electrolytes and I'd need the Diet Coke and I'd need like there's like a series of things I
Mhm,
would now need to feel better after a hangover. Used to
mhm,
be out half the night
mhm.
up early and I'd have a kind of Diet Coke when I was like
And be sorted
20 and be fine.
and go to work.
Yeah,
Like
I'd go
I
to work. Yeah.
can't even imagine going to work with a hangover now. Like it makes me feel ill. Like it really does. Like even going for a couple of drinks the night before, like on a weekday, even now
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, oh my
no.
God, I've a lot to do tomorrow. I
Yeah,
better not.
can't do it. Yeah, they're gonna take away our passports at some point, our Irish passports
I
specifically.
know,
They'll
I
be like,
know.
no, you're not entitled to this anymore.
Our report says you haven't had a night out
Good
on the
night
fifth.
out. Or a good night in even. Nothing.
Yeah. Your blood alcohol levels are dropping. Oh dear God. Well,
Yeah, it's
I
funny because
think
like
Diet
some
Coke has replaced that for us, kind of.
maybe a little bit, yeah, maybe a
Mm,
little bit. Definitely like if you they're at about 3 o'clock sometimes in the
mm,
afternoon where you're just like, oh, you have that little like energy drop.
yeah,
Diet Coke
I
just
know.
fixes that
Yeah.
right off. I know. God, we sound like I mean it's true we are. But
It is, yeah, it's kind of an addiction, but it's like it's not the worst thing. I know people say it's bad for you and stuff like that, but in
it's really not the worst thing.
the grand scheme of things,
In the grand
you
scheme of
know,
things, there are
exactly.
worse spices out there. Diet
Exactly,
Coke's
exactly.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think that's
yeah,
why it's kind of taken off because people are like, quitting smoking, quitting drinking or whatever, and they just need something to get like that little,
yeah. I mean,
hit of something. And Diet Coke is like the least um least bad
I
for
tell you
want of a
where
better
you know
word.
you have problems. So like my hairstylist, she's a Coke Zero person now, But she moved to a new studio recently, and she sent me a picture of her fridge with Diet Coke in it. And she was like, "I'm just prepared for you." I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
nice.
okay." It was lovely.
That's
I
very
was just like,
thoughtful.
I may need to rethink my exuberance, but it was
Yeah.
because she was like she's Coke Zero in the same way, right? So we had like bonded.
Mm-hmm.
Over that.
Do
Yeah,
you know, you mentioned Pepsi? I never understand. Well, I guess I do understand, but when you ask for a Diet Coke and they say Diet Pepsi, okay, I'm like,
no,
no, it's not the same thing.
yeah, but
And
the thing is, like, they know that, but they have to ask.
they have to because they're
Yeah,
legally tied to Pepsi, which I hate this. Like you're
hate
either a
that.
Pepsi or Coke place.
Yeah.
Like
Do
let's
you
sort this
know
out.
Pearson Airport?
Yeah,
The entire airport is
in
Pepsi
Toronto.
only now, and you cannot get Diet Coke in the airport. I think there might be one or two restaurants or something. I remember
Yeah,
finding it somewhere, but like in all of the, like all of the like
yeah,
convenience stores and all that kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff, you
You're
cannot buy
right.
Coke products.
You're right, actually, now that I think about it. Because
Okay, think about it now.
I'd never really buy a Diet Coke in the airport. Like I'd get one on the plane.
Yeah,
I'd have water or something, or I'd be afraid I wouldn't finish it, or I'd be afraid I wouldn't finish it. God
yeah,
forbid, waste a little bit of Diet Coke. But yeah, now that you say it, when I think of the fridges
yeah.
in the convenience stores in the airport, it's always like those weird
All
Diet
Pepsi.
or Diet Pepsi bottles and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, what a
I know, and
tangent.
it's funny, like, because like when server comes in, like, oh, is Pepsi okay? And you can see it in their eyes that
Yeah, they're like, I'm so
they're like,
sorry.
I'm sorry. And I'm just like, actually, and I'm like positive. I'm like, actually, can I have water, please? And then they normally
Yeah,
laugh and they're like, yeah, okay.
yeah. I'm so sorry. I had to ask.
I say water like a Canadian now as well,
Water.
because I normally only say it when I'm out ordering it. And so,
Yeah,
and like when you say water, they're kind of like, what? I'm like,
water.
water.
Water. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, it's the H water.
water.
Mm, it's difficult.
Mm,
It's difficult
mm,
for us.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. So first tool, my first working tool. Like there was a company who was working at that had talked about having this, like a mini profile, maybe like on your Slack thing or like the
Mm,
intranet or something that's like who you are, like what your title is, like, loosely kind of what you're responsible for, but then putting in a couple of fun things. And like one of the fun things was like, if you want to bribe me kind of thing, like to
mm,
do some work or whatever. And like, well, I was like, yeah, no, if you want to bribe me, like get me a Diet Coke.
mm. Make it
You're
your
in
entire
part or
personality.
remotely. Why not at that point? You need something to cling on to. People need something of yours to cling on to at work, and I prefer to give them that than something more personal.
That's very fair.
Yeah. It's like in
Yeah.
my reputation at work, it's like, oh, she's great. She really likes Diet Coke. Sure. I'll
She'd
take
be
it.
happy as Larry if you give her Diet Coke.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, Jenny's in a bad mood today. Ooh,
a
give her
nice,
Diet
like
Coke.
innocent and harmless piece of information. So it's no big
Mm,
deal.
mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
am the worst. I love putting the Diet Coke in the freezer, and so it's a little bit frozen. So there's a little bit of
Oh,
ice in it, and it's the best thing ever. But 9 times out of 10, I forget it's in there,
does
and
it
it
ever
explodes
explode?
everywhere, everywhere. And it happened in work the other day. I had to clean out the freezer.
Oh, it
um,
happened at work?
oh my God,
Ah,
yeah. I was like, right, I'm gonna put that in there, and I'll have it at lunch. Completely forgot on the train home. I was like, oh crap, the Diet Coke in the freezer. And I wasn't going to be in the office for another 2 days. So I was like, somebody's going to open that and they'll know it's me because I have the little mini cans and I'm the only one who drinks
yeah.
them. And so, yeah, I was panicked for the next 2 days. Like, oh God.
At least it freezes. So like at least if it explodes, it freezes. So like it's just
It freezes in like a puddle.
sure.
It goes, like my dad used to go mental. I used to do
Mm.
it all the time at home. I would cover everything in Diet Coke ice. Um, yeah, and I still just can't get my head around remembering to take it out.
Honestly, it sounds lovely, but immediately when you said it, I thought to myself, I would forget about it.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm just not
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. It's so
I
worth it
have
when
an
you remember.
idea for you. If you
Okay.
get like a Ziploc bag and
Yeah.
just put them in a Ziploc bag in the freezer, and then if you forget about it, it's in the bag and it's self-contained, and you don't need to worry about it
That's
when you forget
that.
about it.
Yeah, yeah. I could also set a reminder on my phone to
Yeah,
be
but you
like,
could just
remember to
like
take that out.
keep your Ziploc bag in the freezer so that you just throw a Diet Coke in it whenever.
Just continue wasting multiple cans of Diet Coke. Yeah, I have one here actually. Hold on.
Now that you remembered,
That
yeah.
it didn't burst. I got it
I'm
before
very.
it did, but look at it, it's all
Oh yeah, it's a little.
it's
It's a
all
little. It's a
I'm
little
afraid to open
expanded.
it.
To be
I'm afraid
fair,
to open it because it looks like it's gonna like I actually feel like it's like a bomb and it's just gonna go off. So I'm kind
oh,
of terrified. I think I might just throw it away.
no, no. Do open it right now. please.
on the call.
Yeah, I would like you to do.
And
I
for
would
anyone
like
not
to
watching,
see.
it is
Going to
a
open.
yeah.
It's
No, I'm
kind
not
of
gonna.
expanded up the front a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like the Coke is trying to get out really, really,
I
like
think you should open
speedily.
it. What's the worst that could happen?
It could explode and take my eye out or something, or I don't know. I will open it outside somewhere at some point. Not in the apartment.
I watched a video of someone who was just basically saying, "Oh, I've gotten to that age now where, like, I was going to spend a whole evening, like, washing my hair and doing all this stuff. And then I thought, I'm an adult. I'm just going to sit on the couch and like drink wine." But she was pouring wine when she was doing it. And when the wine was pouring out, but as it was hitting her glass, it was turning into slush, like a wine slushy. And people were like, "What the hell?" And in the comments, she was like, "Oh, I literally just put it in the freezer until it's like just before, like,
Yeah.
super cooled, almost frozen. And then as you pour it, it just kind of like turns to ice as it gets disrupted and kind of exposed to more air.
Ooh.
It basically turns to ice. So she basically created like a wine slushy.
Ooh, that sounds nice. I mean, as nice as wine can be.
Yeah, I'm
not
not a huge wine fan.
No, I've tried really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was okay with it for a while, and then at a certain point it started giving me headaches, and I was like, okay, I guess we're done with wine now.
Yeah, I've yet to find an alcohol that I really enjoy just having, one in the evening.
I'm not really like go and make myself a drink. I'm not that's not I don't really drink socially, to be fair.
No. And yeah, it's weird because again, we're Irish, but Ashling's the same. Like, she doesn't really like, drink that much either. And
I would never think to myself of an evening like, "Oh, I'll have a drink." It
doesn't
even occur to me.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? We're just going against the stereotype.
Some people would say it's normal.
Yeah. Not our culture though.
But if I was to do that, I'd like make myself a cocktail, I think.
Something delicious.
Something clean, like a mule or something like that. Yeah.
Moscow Mule would be nice.
Yeah. Nice, little nice one. Well, you know what I'm very excited about, and this is going to surprise you because I don't think you can guess this in a million years.
Okay.
I'm very excited about the 20th of July. Do you know what's happening on the 20th of July?
No. Well, give the clue.
Okay, it's Irish. Very important this time of year. It's the All-Ireland hurling final.
Oh, right. Sorry. You're not into GA really, so I never thought.
I told you it would never occur to you. Very excited about it. Anyway, Tipperary are in the final.
Oh, yeah. So now are you a fair weather fan?
Obviously. Against Cork.
Ooh,
so, yeah, of course,
big rivalry.
Yeah. Literally saw it on something yesterday. I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm watching one hurling
I guess
match
I'm
this
Tipperary's
year."
biggest fan. Did you order a jersey and all?
No. And honestly, like, there's nowhere for me to go to watch it, so I'm gonna have to figure out if I'm able to get it at home. Because I'm not gonna like, I don't know, I'd have to travel to, I don't know, like Oshawa or Kingston or something to try and
go to a pub that
find a pub that might have it on. Yeah.
And it'll be on in Toronto all over the place, so
that's even further.
Yeah, true. Let me see. July 20th is a Sunday, is it?
Is.
Yeah.
All day.
I'd say we'll do like a watch party or something with our GAA club here. Well,
I'm unlikely to find myself in the area, but if I do, I'll contact you and see where you're watching it.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll know before you come to the area if you're on the way.
It's true. Also, we'll just like make plans on the podcast right now. Everybody should watch the All-Ireland hurling final on the 20th of January.
January.
Oh my God, July even.
Only a 6-month wait.
I forgot.
Put it in your calendar now.
Because hurling, I mean, I'm not a big sports fan. This is clear at this point, but like, hurling is one of the greatest sports in the world and one of the best ones to watch. And you should watch it. Yeah.
I'm biased. I think it's the greatest.
It's not that I don't like. It's not that I have anything against hurling. I'm just not a sports person generally. But hurling is one of the better ones.
Why do you hate sports?
I don't hate sports.
No, I'm only joking.
Yeah. Why do you hate people, Jennifer?
So what's your issue with sports?
It's the same way when I was trying to convince you to watch the Eurovision. You're like, absolutely not. And I'm like, why do you hate fun? It's fun. You have against joy.
Exactly. That is exactly the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're around on July 20th.
July 20th, watch the All-Ireland hurling final and for Tipperary.
Oh,
that's important. An important piece of that.
They didn't beat Dublin though, did they? It was Cork.
Cork beat Dublin, yeah.
I was hoping Dublin would be in the final. That would have been. It would have been better Kildare versus
I was
Tipperary,
about to
but that
say,
would
you're
never
not even
happen.
from Dublin. Why
I
would you want
know.
Dublin to win?
I know. I'm kind of a bi-county supporter. Yeah.
No, go the other
Dublin
way.
are in more things than Kildare as well, so it's easier to support them. Kildare's getting up there though. We're really catching steam now.
You do both of them, or what are you better in, football or hurling?
I would tend to watch more football than hurling because I play hurling and I prefer that, but I prefer to watch football, I think, which is odd.
And are Kildare good at either of them?
Their football team's not that bad.
Mm.
Hurling team, again, not that bad, but they're not winning like lots of All Ireland. I don't even remember the last time Kildare won All Ireland. But I'm not really that into it either. Like again, probably a fair weather fan. I play it, but don't follow it. Yeah, I just love camogie, as the women's version is called.
Here, I've got a great question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference
between camogie and hurling?
Yep.
There is slightly different rules.
Oh yeah.
The time is shorter.
Is it?
As well. As far as I'm aware, oh my God, I'm going to say this wrong now. But the women's is 30 minutes aside, men's 35 minutes aside.
Okay.
And then there's a couple of other things as well, like the free taking, like if you get a 45, when the ball goes out and it's the attacking team's ball, then the range from which you take it is shorter, kind of like the men's tees and the women's tees in golf. There's lots of different variations. Women did have to wear skirts. Short skirt, which is just so barbaric, not barbaric, just so old fashioned.
And misogynistic.
That's yeah. I mean, in this day and age, we're forcing women to wear skirts to play sports. It's not. I remember the little ones, the skirts that you used to put over your shorts, which were fine. I mean, they were annoying and it looked nice, but like, okay, no, but forcing them to wear skirts, which is different to just a skirt over your shorts, is insane. And obviously, there's been a big thing about that recently.
There was a big thing about it.
Yeah.
And honestly, good for them for standing up for themselves.
Yeah, it is. And
there's literally no reason for it.
Yeah, no reason at all. And they got it turned around pretty quickly, actually, because the backlash was so huge.
Yeah.
And it was great. And it kind of is like our topic that we're going to talk about, saying no.
Yeah. If we get that.
If we ever get to it and stop talking nonsense.
We've had 2 solid conversations. We talked about important tools at work, i.e. your favorite drink. And
when I say nonsense, I mean really interesting chit chat.
Yeah, and Irish sports.
Mm-hmm. Which is very important.
Yeah, we are going to be cultural ambassadors.
Can we get paid to do that?
No. We should get onto Tourism Ireland, maybe.
Yeah. Do a sponsored ad on our podcast.
Yeah, maybe we could do that.
But yeah, those girls said no to the skort.
No to the skort. Yeah. I never actually knew the difference, and that's why I was genuinely interested. I don't know what the difference is, but I don't know also it's hard enough, like, getting people to recognize outside of Ireland hurling, because like you say, oh, the sport is hurling, and they go curling, and you go, no, hurling, and they go
every
and
time.
Then they make a face, and you're like, not the hurling, throwing up hurling that you think hurling is. It's a sport, and then you kind of show them stuff, and it's all fine. But like that's the same conversation every time. And then if you say camogie, it's a step too far, so you just don't.
I
don't.
I have these conversations so often, you won't even know. And because I broke my thumb recently playing a camogie game, people in work are like, how'd you break your thumb? I was playing a match. Because I didn't say hurling or camogie just because I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole. And they're like, oh, what kind of sport? Well, it all goes back thousands of years to the time when hurling was invented. But I'm like, oh, it's an Irish sport.
Guy called Satanta.
Yeah. What a guy.
Cullen, back to Cullen.
Top blokes. God. And then you have to, it's an Irish sport, and they say curling. No, hurling.
Hurling.
Oh, hurling means something else here, I know.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
And then, but it's actually called camogie. And if you're texting it to someone or writing in text, obviously it's camogie.
Of course,
it's so nuanced, and there's just so many different parts to explain what it is.
And by the end of it, it's not even like, it's like, but like when I tell you I'm not explaining it to you, it's not because I don't think you can get it. It's that it's not worth the time we're about to spend for me to tell you. Just
Exactly.
understand it's a cool sport. I'll show you a video if you want.
Yeah, exactly. And like they basically just ask like, oh, what happened to your thumb? And then you have to go into this 10-minute backstory of it. And they're probably like, wow, I didn't really need to know that. But there was no other way for me to explain what happened to it without going into the history of what hurling is. So like, I'm sorry for both of us that we had to experience this, but you asked the question.
Constant. No, but I didn't know because the reason.
No, not you, like the person.
Oh, the person.
Yeah,
that's true. Because like the reason I don't get to camogie is because they're like, well, what's the difference? And I'm like, one's for women, and they're like, what's the difference? And I don't know, so I don't even broach the subject.
You're like, wouldn't you like to know what the difference is?
As far as I know, the men need 10 more minutes in their match to like deal with their extra emotions. So that's fine.
Because they're big and strong, and they need more time to
process like all of that, hysteric.
Yeah. But the female version is just as aggressive and
it really is. It really is.
Yeah. I had to be walking around Toronto with bruises all over me, and I know people are like, what the hell happened to that girl? And especially when I had the cast and bruises all over me, like I'm sure people thought I was in like a car crash or something, but no, it was just a little trip to Chicago to play a camogie tournament. But anyway, we nearly got onto the topic we wanted to talk about, and then it went off on another tangent.
So we'll just like intro the topic for next time.
That probably would actually work.
Well, actually, we could start this. Might take a couple of times to get through it. And we're going to talk about something that we didn't. It's a skill set that we did not display in the last 30 minutes, which is the power of saying no in a professional environment. But we just said no. We'll talk about everything.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, exactly. So from my perspective, and actually maybe, we have different perspectives on this because it comes up in both of our areas of expertise, I guess a little differently. From my perspective, it's, to me, your ability to discern when to say no, is what differentiates you from being like a tactical, maybe director or VP level, right? Where a lot of your work is potentially tactical, or you're just kind of trying to do everything, right? I think it's the difference between how you transition from like that kind of level to C-suite. So you a big differentiator in someone who's like operating at a C-suite level versus kind of like, kind of just like a senior level, is your ability to like strategically understand how to say no, both when to say and how to say it. So understanding how to put guardrails around things, understanding when to keep people on track, to keep people on all of those pieces. When someone comes with a great idea that seems super, super great, and you might still have to say no because of like different restrictions. I think it's what kind of separates out those kind of like two sets of people, and also an incredibly important thing that you need to learn how to do before you can reach like a C-suite level, and something you should practice very early on in your career, because it actually takes, it's not like, oh, I'll take a course and learn how to say no. Like, it's not that kind of thing. It's time and experience, and like experiencing multiple situations. It's experiencing all of the times where you should have said no, and then things went a little wrong, and you think, oh, okay, I don't want to do that again in the future, right? I should have like trusted my instinct and said no, etc. It's experiencing those kind of situations enough time where you like then develop this kind of like muscle of discernment, really, is kind of really the best way I have to describe it. And then I think from your perspective, what I'm interested to hear about is from the comms perspective, is like how to say no well without like pissing everybody off around you.
Which is a great question, because in marketing communications, people who do it know that you just get asked things all the time, and some people think that things take a very short time when in actuality they take a very long time. So having to push back and say no, we can't do that within the certain time periods, But providing a solution, kind of getting that middle ground, is the best way to do it from where I come from. Like, look, we can't do this, but how about we do this? And the way you say it as well, you're not just saying, no, we're not doing it. You're taking their perspective, being like, okay, they want to do this, but we're not able to do it. What else could we do that they would be happy with, or that they would be comfortable with, and addresses kind of what they're trying to do. Or, if there is no option, like being able to explain why, like you have to have a reason why you can't do it, and it needs to be feasible. Like they need to understand why, and you need to be able to explain, in pretty simple terms why something can't be done or why you can't do something. So there's a level of diplomacy involved as well, in every aspect of work, I guess, and being able to say things in a way that don't sound overly aggressive or rude. And we talked about professional speak before, and it's almost necessary in order to like get things done and not let emotions take over as well, and just have a way of saying things in a professional way that that sounds great, like let's touch base on it tomorrow or something instead, and saying being like, no, we're just not going to do that. Or you might want to go back and talk to like your manager or something, or like your VP or whatever about it.
Yeah.
And so you can be like, okay, interesting idea, let's think about it and we'll come back to you with our recommendation, or something like that. It's just like not an all out no in that way, but you're kind of giving them a bit of space, to be able to go back and think about it and have your explanation in place for why it can't be done. So sometimes you don't have to just say no outright, and you can kind of find ways around it that keep people happy, and not feeling like, that their ideas are being heard, or, that you just aren't listening to them and things like that. It's kind of like making sure they know you're listening to them. So there's a big long spiel as to that. But that's what I found, especially in communications, when, you're working with other business areas and things like that don't really understand what you do, how long it takes, what the limitations are, what it might look like from the public perspective, things like that too. So being able to explain that in a way that they're, happy with. Sometimes it doesn't always work, sometimes, but we want to do that. We want to do it anyway. And then, you have to like, escalate it, or, take the risk if that's what like senior leadership wants to do. But yeah, as long as you're able to explain your part or your feeling towards it.
Yeah, there's a piece that like to steal from tech development. When someone comes with a very good idea that you actually genuinely think is good and you want to use, but it's the wrong time or whatever. So in tech development, there's the notion of the backlog. So they'll have everything that's upcoming that they're working on or will be working on in like the next sprint. And there's then the roadmap of like future development stuff. So there'll be a bunch of stuff in the backlog that needs to kind of get put into, upcoming sprints as and when you plan them. And so we kind of look at that across a whole company, because you can have the concept of a backlog, right? So someone comes to me and says, oh, I really want to I don't know, I've got this great idea for something that we can do for the organization. Like, I want to have this on offsite together, or, I want to consider experimenting with this like methodology, right? Or we want to change our project management, whatever that might be. And you genuinely think there's good merit, like there's merit in this, saying we should explore this in more depth. But right now we're capped with what we have. And it's good, but it's not good enough to deprioritize something else to put it in its place. And it's a zero-sum game in terms of like the time and the resources that you have. And so in those situations, I like to show all the enthusiasm that I'm actually feeling about it, and basically ask them to like flesh out what that would be to get it put into the backlog for something like the company backlog, for something that we can like explore in the future when we do have the resources to put to it. And that can be useful, because not only are you encouraging people, because no can feel like a judgment that it's a bad idea, right? It's like, this is bad and you should feel bad, right?
How embarrassing that you brought this forward.
Yeah, which most of the time it genuinely isn't. And so giving someone the space to say, this is a great idea, like spend not a lot of time, but maybe a bit of side time, just like articulating that into a document or into like a backlog. And then we'll kind of bring it up when it's more appropriate, but at least we have a record of it, and we have a sense of how it might work, and we'll like come back to it when we have a more appropriate time to do it. And that can be really helpful of encouraging people to come forward with ideas and creations and stuff. Because in a culture where you want to promote innovation, and you want to promote people doing their best work, and you want to promote like good processes, all those kind of things, you need to create space for people to come to you with proposed changes and ideas and all of that. But the likelihood is you'll say no to most of them, because most of it is like, not now. Right. But you don't want to then discourage or like remove that safe space where people feel they can't come to you anymore because they always get like shut down. Right. So to avoid that, you can still create the space to do that, even if it's not something you can actively just like give the go ahead to do straight away.
It doesn't take that much to make somebody feel like, you know,
it really doesn't take much at all.
No, to make them feel like you heard them, like their idea's good, but doesn't work right now. But like, great idea. Like, look at it like in 2 months when we've got this other thing done. And it's just good for motivation overall, because like they're not going to come back to you with another idea then, you know. It's kind of stifled innovation a bit.
And like, don't assume that they see all the stuff you see. So sometimes someone will come to you with a proposed idea or change or whatever, and you might think to yourself instinctively, because you're in the middle of a bunch of stuff, like, why would they even suggest that? That's crazy because of like this and this. But again, they're not seeing what you're seeing. They don't have that context, right? So it's important to give it to them.
I find that I have trouble saying no when someone says, "Oh, can you do this?" So I have developed skills in design, HTML coding and things, because there's been an issue like, "Oh, we need to do this," and you know, are you able to do this? And like, lots of people I know will say, "No, I don't know how to do it," and they get out of so many things. But I'm like, no, I can probably figure that out. And it's now I've had to stop because I think I should have said no in certain situations, because then it has snowballed into like bigger things, and you know, and then and so being able to say no and being able to focus on what you're able to do right now. Sometimes, you know, you can say, yeah, I'll go learn it or whatever, but you know, being able to say no to things that are going to take like a huge amount of your time that aren't really like relevant to your goals or your objectives or anything like that, you know. So I do find that difficult, and also because I don't want to say no to somebody who's more senior a lot of the time.
So that's like the interesting flip of it. So if you're looking at it from a more junior person trying to say no to someone who's more senior, not that you're necessarily junior, but just like, you know, someone more senior. There's, again, it's a different how, right? Because the thought process should be not like, can I do this? But like, should I do this? And if the first thing is like, should I do this? If you know the answer is no, I shouldn't do this. Sometimes the response is, if it's your boss, to be like, so this is potentially something I could pick up, but I'd have to drop something else to do that. So can we look at what I have outstanding and like reprioritize that so I can fit that in and look at something that we can either put a pause on or drop. Inevitably, you'll find that when the manager is faced with that decision, they'll be like, oh, actually, don't worry about
that. Good managers will probably say that.
Good, yeah. But the thing is like, it's a good way to manage up. We've talked about that before. And it also kind of forces them to prioritize as well, but in a very nice and polite way, you know. And if they say, no, I want you to do all of it, it's like, okay, but then within those things, I'm going to do less of this, and this isn't going, the quality might be not as good here, like, or these things might just take longer now because I've got this additional piece. And that's a good way. If you're thinking of how to say no in those situations, that's my like preferred method, which is should we be doing this?
Should I? Will I? No.
Ask for help prioritizing your outstanding projects or tasks or whatever it is, and so that you can fit it in accordingly and see what should be dropped off in lieu of it. So.
I feel like in marketing and communications especially, and I know like in ops, and I know the way you work, like, and you have the dashboards and things, what everybody's doing, and you know everything, and in marketing and communications, it just seems to be just a big swirl of things going on, and like, okay, there is priorities, but you have a minute, you have like 20 minutes to write this thing, you know, and it's harder to be like, well, I'm working on this and it needs to be done by tomorrow, because you know you're writing stuff, and it's like, okay, just throw together something really quickly. And I know it probably is an option to be like, okay, let's prioritize these things, but I find it is more difficult in that way, because stuff is so fluid and not, I always say intangible, but it's like, oh, just write a social media post really quickly, it'll take 5 minutes, which it might, but if you're doing that all the time, those 5 minutes add up, and you're also being distracted from other things, and there's a knock-on effect to everything. But in reality, it's 5 minutes really, and if you say that to your boss, like, it's going to take me 5 minutes, they're like, oh, that's fine. There's a perception of it being like really quick, but the knock-on effect, and it just causes a bit of chaos, really.
Yeah, it does. And there's some potential ways to plan for the chaos, right? That it's coming down, but we don't need to get into that today.
No. That was just my
Oh,
little
look,
rant.
we practiced saying no to keep us on track.
No, Leslie, we're not going to get into that today.
That was more a note to myself. I was like, oh my God, let me share with you what that. No, I'm not going to do it.
You're like,
telling
no,
myself, like,
I have
don't
a
go
good
off on a
idea.
tangent.
Yeah. Let me fully bake it out first before I come back and talk with it again. But yeah, no, honestly, yeah, I'm always trying to find the best way to prioritize things, like, and keep notes and stuff. I've yet to find one that works for me after all this time.
Yeah. And there's there's an interesting aspect to this is where if you pull out of the professional side for a second and you talk about what that looks like personally. And so, you talk about the notion of people pleasing. So you're just saying yes to everything. I saw someone kind of reframe that recently where it's like, instead of thinking of people pleasing, like saying yes to everybody, as like, oh, you're just pleasing everybody. Because the odds are you don't, because you'll overload. And so therefore you're not putting enough good quality attention on all of the things that you said yes to. But really reframe it as, well, kind of the only person you're pleasing is yourself, because you're avoiding being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And so you're not actually pleasing anybody, because you're just like saying yes to everything and then potentially not necessarily following through fully on everything, because that would be impossible to do that. But you're actually just avoiding being uncomfortable, and you're avoiding putting yourself in a situation where you have to say no and potentially deal with that discussion of saying no, and dealing with potentially like not a full confrontation, but a confrontation.
Yeah, awkward
and
conversation.
So I think that you can apply that to work as well, which is like, in order to develop the skill of saying no, be it this kind of like you're saying it to a more senior person, or as a strategic person, like you have to steer the ship, and so no needs to be said. You first have to get comfortable with sitting and saying no to people. Yeah, you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it means that someone's going to be disappointed. It means that, and that unfortunately is just how it's going to roll out. It's kind of like the Spock approach, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few kind of situation.
Star Trek quote.
And so you do your best to soften it, like as we talked about.
Yes.
But fundamentally, it doesn't mean that someone isn't going to be disappointed that they were all riled up for this great idea, and you're going to say, this is great, but unfortunately, it's just not the right time to do this. We don't have the budget. We don't have whatever the reason is. And they're inevitably going to be disappointed anyway. And so you kind of have to be comfortable with disappointing people, or people being disappointed in your decisions, and being confident enough to make that decision regardless of people being like not happy with it, and that potentially making you uncomfortable. So it's kind of like you gotta have the experience to have the diplomacy of like how to say no, have the experience of understanding when you do need to say no, and then also the kind of resilience to be uncomfortable and be uncomfortable even when you're confident in those decisions, and to press forward regardless of how uncomfortable you are making somebody else disappointed, right? And knowing you're going to do that. So there's like a lot of different things that like tie into it, and I think that comes with time, and it comes with experience, and that's really I think what separates your ability to operate at a higher level versus kind of as you're working up through your career.
Well, you always see there are all companies, not all companies, but a lot of companies do like resilience training and things like that to kind of help people with that aspect of things, because most people don't like being uncomfortable. Like, it's it's a human trait. Like, we don't want to be uncomfortable. But the most of the best things you can achieve come from putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, and facing that. So it's like exposure therapy almost. I hate being uncomfortable, but I do know that difficult things, and sometimes you get something done or get something across the line, you have to make yourself a little bit uncomfortable, and it takes practice, like anything.
It 100% does take practice. It takes practice understanding, like the first few times you might say to someone, you might find that actually they don't react anywhere near as bad as you thought they would. Especially if you have your reasons and like you kind of explain like here's why, you might find that they respond going, oh, okay, like fair enough. Like,
I haven't slept for 2 days about this conversation and it was fine.
I know.
It turned out okay.
So you'd be surprised in sometimes that it's just maybe not as bad as you think it's going to be. And with practice, then you kind of just, you get into the rhythm of doing that and more kind of confident in these like decisions and the method of making those decisions. And ultimately, if anybody ever works with me and they feel like they're going to have to say no to me and feel a little uncomfortable, always know that if you give me some Diet Coke, I will feel better about it.
Imagine they just come in with a nice crispy Diet Coke and they're like,
Someone like turns
"Hey,
up at my
Jen."
doorstep.
Yeah.
Be like, listen, we're not doing your thing.
You're like, you know what? I'm okay with
That's
it.
grand.
Crack the Diet Coke. I need to remember this anytime I need something from you.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. And
yeah,
preferably very cold, like, you know, a nice
yeah.
crispy Diet
It
Coke
has to be, I know. The crispy aspect of it is the best part.
is important. Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
circles back to the Diet Coke.
Yeah, I thought it was a good way to like round it
Yeah,
out.
I think it is. Yeah.
Because I
I
think
like
like
it.
the next time we could potentially talk about, you know, tools or like tools of decision making, you know, while you're
Mm,
practicing learning how to say no, like, and
hmm
when to say no, we can talk a little bit about that and maybe do an article about it,
Yeah.
and flesh it out a little bit more. But
hmm
the TLDR is say no
Yeah.
more than you think, but
hmm
in a better way. Like,
Yeah. How you say it,
yeah,
is almost the key thing, rather than the point you're making. This is how you say it.
yeah.
And
No,
you
when you
might,
say no, learn how to say no, and practice
yeah.
the resilience of sitting in that uncomfortable feeling of saying no to
hmm
people.
hmm
Mm. And your
I
company will
think
be better for it.
it will, and your career will thrive.
We're
Hopefully.
making promises now. Thrive.
Allegedly. Okay, yeah, we'll do some more on that, like, some strategies for addressing it and things like that later on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds great.
All right, short and sweet. Well, actually, it wasn't short and sweet because we went on for a long time. But we'll be back next week.
Yes, likely. For more stuff you didn't ask to
Hopefully.
hear
But are gonna hear about it anyway. All
about.
right. Okay, bye.